We look at people who are models for all of us in our lives and who have this desire to be one with God. People who said, I can do this for people, living out the purpose they had in their lives. And some of them, for example, are O. Henry. He was the writer. He was in prison when he found out he had the skill to write. Thomas Edison was just a part-time telegraph operator. Booker T. Washington was a dreamer. Helen Keller, we know the Helen Keller story. She was blind, deaf, and dumb. Beethoven, the great musical man, couldn't hear a note, couldn't hear a word. My patron saint, Milton, he was blind, and yet he wrote. He saw things in that blindness of his. And Dorothy Height, whom we have celebrated so well here in the city this past week, with her dedication to the whole civil rights movement in our country, became a real icon because she had a vision. She knew God had sent her here to this earth during these days, these times of her life, to do something. And she came to find out what it was because she began to go to herself in her heart, and her prayer, and her friends, and her advisors. And she had that all done. And I think it's remarkable when you stop to think about this, that God kept her here until she was 98 years old, to be a model to us even today. Today, when we go into the whole immigration thing in Arizona, for example, an image like this lady is important in something like that, that contest that we're about to go into in this country right now. These are people that dream dreams, and they brought them about to be what they are. What we want best for ourselves, we will never succeed in achieving if we don't have our faith as a very strong part of what we're doing. And again, we have to have that faith because it was God who sent me here, God who sent you here in this world of ours. And what we have to do is take that notion, those visions that we come up with and we keep in our head, we have to cherish them because they're the children of your soul. If you stop and think about that, if you were sitting out here on the porch in the evening looking at the lake out there or at the trees, and you began to hear ideas speaking in your head, you go to the beach. I find that sitting by water is so conducive to thinking. Just sit there and then begin to listen to what your mind is saying. Because it's not just your mind working, it's your faith. And it's this God who is there taking care of you, giving you that inspiration. And if you begin to work with it, you are bringing forth a new child from your soul into the world by accepting that and looking out for that. If we have our belief and we have a burning desire, we will achieve what we seek to achieve in our lifetime. Religion itself is a practice that can weigh us down. People take religion in the wrong way so many times. It's this, not this, not this, not that. And we begin to lose the sense of our own vision in religion. What is it for us? And it weighs us down. It weighs so many. I hear it in the confessional time after time, where people let themselves become so weighed down that they are just pain-filled with their not being happy with themselves. I think if you look around my experience around the world and the different parishes and churches and communities I've lived in and worked with, it's filled with dead people. People who really just don't have a spirit of get up and let's go. If you stop and think about it, I said this at church the other day, and somebody didn't like it, but that's too damn bad, as I would always say. If we don't really find ourselves happy with knowing who God is, then you don't know who God is. If you really believe who Jesus Christ is, if people believe who Jesus is, there would not be an empty church any day when you had morning mass or evening mass. It would never be empty. If you really believe that I could go there and partake of that. But we don't, because it happens so often. We just take it as another thing. Oh, it's that again. It's that mass again, and so forth. I think the faith is just so important. to us to fulfill your dream. I'm working on a talk for a group of entrepreneurs, and it's the spirituality of the entrepreneur. Now, the group I belong to have Catholics, Jews, Jewish people, Muslims, they have, you name the brand, it's there. But they all have a spirituality. So often we see a spirituality, you think of Catholic spirituality. I'm not talking about, that's something distinct. Protestant, Methodist spirituality is distinct from the others. But spirituality we all have. And what is it? It's that purpose that God gave us. And it's that trying to take that purpose, and as we're trying to find it and make it real in the lives of other people. You know, so we have to know what it is. And the way we keep it about is if we just keep telling ourselves every day. If you took, for example, a piece of paper tonight and you go home this afternoon and wrote down, I will be 20 pounds lighter by July 1st because I will be, and I'm not going to eat as much as I did, and I'm also going to exercise every day. And if you read that to yourself each morning, and at lunchtime, and at dinner time, when the day goes along, at the end of a month, you won't even need that card because you'll be 20 pounds lighter. Because you will, the whole sense of auto-suggestion is a thing I've picked up on lately that really helps people become what they want to become. If you convince yourself, if you say to yourself that I will not eat those lovely butter-covered rolls every time I have dinner, and you write that down and say that to yourself 3 or 4 times a day, and by the end of a month, you will have removed that need in your heart and your body. You will be able to be without that. So that's sort of basically some of the things I just talk about in terms of life. You know, how we live our lives now, and how we do it is purpose and intention. And that's a new thing, I think, that's coming around, becoming more and more popular with motivational speakers. Know your purpose, know your intention, know what you're about. And if you do, you know, nothing can stop you. Nothing can stop you if you know your purpose and you really have it figured out and you're living it in your lifetime. And every day it's a new opportunity to find that purpose in a different way. Be good at what you are, and you will be reaching out to so many people. What I want to do now is turn it over to, this has sort of been theory, to real practice. How does it work? Well, I came into contact with Margaret Dureke, her name is. Margaret is here with me. She's from Ghana. I'm from the neighboring country, Nigeria. I was thinking of Dorothy Aubrey when I said Ghana. She's a motivational speaker. She's from St. Mark's Parish in Hyattsville. Written a number of books, and she's very much into the whole business about women's needs and issues in our world today. But she's also, the one that really did me in was this one. It's the 11 proven ways to organizational and time management techniques. And that's what has captured me in how she does things. And then she's got this other book, How to Succeed Against All Odds. And I heard this talk one day with a group of ladies. I wanted to hear how she presented that. And I think you will get some very valuable insight into yourself and to the excitement that life is if you let it take over your heart, if you let it be what you want it to be. Margaret has 3 children. Husband works with her. Margaret has published 5 or 6 books, and that led her to create her own publishing company. And then she owns a gymnasium that people have memberships in. She speaks probably 4 or 5 times a week to different groups. She does what I call spiritual direction. She doesn't call it that. She called it just coaching people. But I asked her to come because several times I heard her speak, she was just so alive with, in a sense, thinking outside the box, thinking about how I can put that purpose together. So she's going to tell you all about it. Margaret.